pleasure to be here at C.H.A.R.T, and I'm going to share with you a little bit about what we call cultural intelligence. You see, MFHA has been working on developing an initiative that builds people's cross-cultural communication so that we can do better business, that we can produce better results at unit levels, etc. And what I want to talk to you about is we know that globalization is with us. Technology, geopolitics, everything that we see going on the television affects our world. It's also affecting us here in the U.S. The landscape in the U.S. is much more multicultural. An 8-to-1 birth-to-death ratio for Hispanics versus 1.1 for whites and 1.3 for blacks. Whether we like it or not, there's going to be a lot of change in this country, and we have to figure out what it's like, what we're going to do about it. Culture, just like climate change, culture change like climate change, has consequences, good and bad. From a business standpoint, if you do it well, you're going to get the best and brightest talent to come to work for you. If you don't, you'll have problems. So we call cultural intelligence having the knowledge, skills, and ability to engage people from different backgrounds effectively. Now, I also heard yesterday in the session you call it ability, so I might even change this definition based upon something I heard here. But this is what it's going to be all about going forward. And we believe you need to have competencies built into your managers and your leaders in order to be effective here or around the world if you take your brands there. Cultural awareness of self and others. Self-awareness, how do you show up? How do people experience you? What do you know about them? Do you know the difference between the different Asian groups? There are 7 subsets of Asians in this U.S. Not everybody is Chinese, okay? Cross-cultural communication, verbal, written, nonverbal. All these cues are important. Eye contact. Some cultures prefer no eye contact. Some cultures prefer it. Here in the U.S., if you don't look me in the eye, maybe you're not being honest. That's very different in other cultures, so we have to learn that. Third, we have to be able to manage and minimize conflict. How do you do conflict? In the black community, I'm a black American of Cape Verdean descent, conflict sometimes is very direct and very quick. Same is true for some other Asian cultures, but others are very different. They avoid culture. They avoid conflict. And what are you going to do about that in your restaurant or in your operation? Fourth, communicating to coach multicultural talent will be the key driver of taking talent from the middle section to the higher section. Urban areas, our school systems that don't produce really highly qualified employees, high school graduates that don't come to Reading are going to drive up cost. So how you help coach people up, how you help them see their career is going to be really, really important. And last thing we call cultural empathy. Most of us know what empathy is, but put yourself in someone else's shoes. What are they experiencing? They're immigrants from Asia or from India. What's their experience like in your restaurant, in your business? What's it like being the only Asian working for us? Are we doing enough to help you as a woman of color? Those are the kinds of questions. And those leaders that are empathetic are going to send a message to young, talented people to come to work for you. And you know what? They will. And they'll work hard and they'll produce great results. I want to share a success story. On the way down here, I came here from D.C. I flew into Fort Lauderdale, and I got picked up by a driver. I originally was going to take the bus, you know, the bus that stops at all the hotels. And, you know, sometimes it's interesting who you meet on those buses. But it was hot, and I'd been on the road for 7 days. I was tired, and it was pretty cheap, $80 rather than renting a car, so I took the car. And I get in the car as I usually do when I talk to the driver. He's got an accent from somewhere, I'm not quite sure, about 50, 55-ish. And I said, I detect an accent. Where's that from? He said, I'm a Turk. I'm from Turkey, but really from Georgia. I said, well, Georgia's the country just north of Turkey, isn't it? End of the Black Sea. He looks in his mirror, he goes, yeah, how do you know? I said, because I'm focused on learning more about culture. Tell me more about your country. So for the next 40 minutes or whatever it takes us to get from Fort Lauderdale to here, this guy is talking to me about his country. I said, where should I go? You know, obviously you've got to go to the capital, but he says, go to the south, and you're going to find out that people from France and all over the European countries have left some of their culture there for us. Some of us speak the language of the old world, and some of us speak Turkish. And so he goes on and on and on and tells me this whole story. And I'm really excited as I listen to this guy. We go back and forth. I tell him I know a little bit about Muslim and Islam and the difference between Sunnis and Shias. He says, how do you know all that stuff? I said, I read, I go on the internet, I talk to every driver I can find. And so we have a wonderful conversation. Finally, he pulls up here in front of the hotel. I give him my credit card. He won't take it. He won't take my credit card. No, no, no. I said, sir, I want to pay you. He said, no. And the smile told me everything I needed to know. I listened to him. I listened to him, and I experienced his culture. And he appreciated that so much that he comped my ride. I suggest to you, you start appreciating other people's cultures, they might comp your ride too. Thank you.